Okay, so we're going to start putting in these little bolts, nuts to the airframe. I'm just going to put them on a piece of plastic, I think, so I won't lose them. As you can find out by now, I don't have a proper work area, so everything here is ad hoc. I'll be really delighted to clean up this room once this is all done and the mess is all done. Okay, so now I have a whole bunch of the airframe screws on plastic, and I'm going to put these in using a small Allen wrench. If I can find that little wrench, here it is. Can I put these into the airframe? These are all the same size. These little black bolts are all the same size, so there's no worries. And I'm going to start with the outer parts here. So this helps line everything up. So that first bolt's going in fine, not make it too tight. I'm going to put in a second one here in the airframe. See how that goes. Okay, so far we have just 2 bolts here in the edge of the wing holding this thing steady on that side. I'm going to put 2 more into here, and when this thing clicks together, kind of clamp it with your hand. Keep holding it with your hand so it is clamped together as a clamp. With this left hand holding it, use your right hand to pick up the bolt and put it into the wing here. So that kind of calibrates our frame, that we have everything lined up. So we're going to tighten this thing up a little bit. There, the first one's in, let go of the frame as it's clamped. Put the second one in. So at this point, it might be wise to look for wires that have been crushed in the frame and sliced. Sometimes you can see them, so let's take one last look around here because we can still maybe push a few away. Okay, there's the antenna, that stays out. The wires are usually around these bends here where they go into the motors. I don't see any at all, so maybe we did this right for once. There's a little white battery holder in there. So I think we're okay. So at this point, we can start putting in some of the heavy artillery as far as screwing this thing together. So what I do now is I start putting in these main bolts in the main body to convince it to go together. And if I see something hanging out, like the back here isn't really cinched up, press it together, it will kind of come apart. So I start again in the middle here to get this thing to finally come together. So we're going to want to find some decent bolts for that. Here's a new pack. All my bolts are stripped and worn out from the other airframes. I used them 4 times, so I'm going to use new ones. And for that we need the big Allen wrench, which may or may not be around here. Don't see it. Here it is, big Allen wrench. I'm still using this plastic piece for these bolts so they won't go in the rug. So they're going to go in here on the plastic piece. So you can see now I have 2 areas of bolts. Little black ones for the wings and the big ones for the frame. For the frame, you don't want to have any real long bolts. Somehow I got a long bolt in, which went through. So I'm going to make sure I don't put any long bolts in the wings. If you put a long bolt in here, they'll come up to the plastic. So I'm going to put these into the 4 wings first so I don't mess that up. That way, if you get interrupted or you're in a hurry, things won't go wrong. So we'll start by entering these bolts. I hope you can see this okay. My camera's autofocus is not working right, so I have it on manual focus, which might be out of focus. The first videos you saw were very bad with focus, and it wasn't autofocus and it wasn't working. So I've gone to manual focus and tried to get a focal point out around here. So now these 4 bolts are going in to the frame just fine. And I got my finger here to check this isn't going to go through. Okay, it's nice and tight, didn't go through. Put one more bolt in here. So now we have 4 wing bolts on one side in. And we'll do the same thing to the other side for short wing bolts. Let's put these in. Looks like it's lining up. Okay, so here I might have a misalignment problem. Yeah, I do. So the frame is not quite aligned. So how do you get around that? Well, you can try and push it down. Make sure there's no wires in the way. I don't see any. Okay. Looks like the misalignment starts at the very front here. Let's push this guy down. Okay, that was just a matter of getting it to crunch down. This happens a lot when you put this together. So now, when you've trued up this side, the other side real true, you have to sometimes hold this down. So now I'm using my left hand as a clamp to clamp this into place, and now I can hopefully put in this bolt. And sure enough, it's going in. So there's some technique to this, and it's a laborious process. It doesn't go fast. So now this little guy will be in here, and I'm having some problems torquing that in. I'm going to hold it again, torque it in. There, it's tight. That's in, it feels good. The frame's not too wobbly there. Let's put in the 3 extra bolts for this little quadrant of 4 bolts here for the wing. Hopefully you can see this. There we go, that's in. Put in one more. We got that in. Okay, so the good news is we now have 8 bolts in here. Hold this together. We have 4 wing bolts, big ones. We have 2 little wing nuts here, small ones. And so if you look at the rest of the frame, the alignment, it looks pretty good. So I'm thinking all we have to do is now keep putting in bolts all over the place and we're done. So now you want to kind of crunch it together in the main body to make sure it's all lined up, and it sure looks good. So I can see we have no gaps here, no gaps, no gaps. The door still works good. Let's get some bolts in here, okay? Get the main body solid. And then we'll go back to the outer part of the body and put the small bolts in. So hey, congratulations, you're following along here, and you'll get your word back together, don't worry. What we have to do is be more careful when planning our air routes out and not take risks, and not be a cowboy or a hot dog and wreck the plane again. So I think I was doing, I would say, fast maneuvers in a small parking lot with trees, and I got hit the same tree twice. I didn't learn the first time and hit it again, so not going back there. Not going to be doing anything else without planning. I've never yet run a camera on this thing, so I've just been learning how to fly it without a camera. In fact, I don't even have a Hero camera yet, so I'm waiting for the price to fall, and I figured I would have some fun with this bird, plus the Hero 4 Black. I hear it overheats, I hear it gets hot. I would rather wait for a production run with those things that's sounding a bit more stable. But really the fun of this bird is to take pictures and videos, so I feel rather destitute without a camera. Okay, so we have all these silver short bolts in the main frame here, which is a pretty good feeling. I see there are 2 of them left over, so we must have 2 holes that are due. So these holes are filled, filled, filled. What remains are the small black ones all around the bird, so these take a long time. So if you care to watch me do that, I'll do those on the next video. How's that?